Hi, I'm Bill Heath. I'm the Superintendent of Schools of Lincoln County Schools. I'd like to give everyone an update today on our reopening plans. We've been working diligently on these plans for several weeks now. We have put all of our thoughts and recommendations together into a plan that we presented to our Board of Education last Thursday night. Thursday night, our board unanimously approved the plan, and I'd like to communicate that plan's highlights with you today. One of the biggest parts of this plan is that as parents, you will have three choices before school starts on what type of schooling your kid will begin school with. The first of those choices is in school, in person, much like a normal classroom setting, with the exception that we're going to make several modifications to help keep our kids and faculty members healthy and safe during this COVID-19 time. So again, choice number one would be in school, in person, as close to normal as possible. Choice number two that you have would be if you don't feel that it's safe yet or you're not comfortable sending your child back to school in person, but you want to remain an integral part of that school's community, then the choice would be virtual at your school or your child's school. Now that means that teachers at the school would be teaching your children virtually, and we have a lot of things that are in the plan that address how that looks and what procedures will take place to make that happen for your child so that your child is getting the same education or as close to the same education as if they were in person in the classroom. The third option is for grades 4 through 12. We started last summer our Lincoln Central Academy virtual school. So your child, if they're in grades 4 to 12 and would like to transfer to Lincoln Central Academy, they can do that, and it's a little bit of a different look. For high school kids, the graduation requirements are not as many required courses as in the regular school setting, but there are still some very specific courses, but you will be able to take things virtually through Lincoln Central Academy and our already established virtual school. So that's your three choices. One is in person, the other two are virtual. One is virtual with your school, one is virtual at Lincoln Central Academy. Our plan that was approved is a very detailed plan. It's a lengthy plan. I would encourage you to visit our website at www.lcdoe.org and click on the link to the plan, and you'll be able to see all the details of the plan. Now, one disclaimer I do have to put out there to you is that these details and these plans do change pretty quickly in this situation with COVID-19. We often get guidance from the state or from the federal government of things that they recommend and sometimes things that they require, and sometimes those things make us change our plans somewhat. We will update the plans as quickly as we know of a change that has to occur. So that is a disclaimer I wanted to put out there regarding the plan that you'll see on the website, or if you go back and view the board meeting online on our website, you'll see the discussion about the plan there. So today, though, I would like to take you through sort of a normal school day and some of the activities that happen in a regular school, whether that's arrival, dismissal, getting on the bus, having lunch, what the classroom looks like, and just hit a few highlights for you. This is, though, what we're going to go over for the next few minutes is if we are at level 1, which is the lowest level of viral spread, which means we will be as close to normal as possible. So what you're about to see are our level 1 modifications and procedures for our regular school day. To talk about transportation in Lincoln County Schools, we're on a Lincoln County school bus. A couple of things I'd like for you to notice is the windows are down. Usually what we'll do is after every route we'll leave the windows down unless the weather doesn't permit that. That's to get a good cross flow on the bus of air and to help aerate the bus. Also, another thing, we have sanitizer on the bus that we'll be having for our kids and our drivers, and I'd like to demonstrate to you what your child will be experiencing when they enter a Lincoln County bus. So we have a couple of folks. We have a bus driver up here. Mr. Fanning is our bus driver, and we have a couple of students about to get on the bus. So as you notice, students will get on the bus, they will step up to a certain point, the driver will take their temperature, and if he gives them a positive nod, that means their temperature is fine and they'll go have a seat in their assigned seats. Very important to know that. We are assigning seats so that our students will be as best socially distanced on a bus as we can get them. Now another student is going to enter the bus. This student has a fever. So this student will immediately be asked to put a mask on. If the parent is around, we may contact that parent and have that student exit the bus and go to the parent. But if the parent is not there, we will ask that student to sit in the front of the bus with the mask on. We sprayed sanitizer on them, hand sanitizer, and when they get to school, what this student will have to do is report directly to the nurses station and the administration to go through the protocol at the school. So I hope you notice that we're taking these precautions in our transportation department. We're social distancing, we're using masks when needed and appropriate, and we're checking symptoms as the students get on the bus. All right, and the last thing, after every route, I'd like for you to know that we are cleaning the bus with sanitizer spray that the drivers will have, and they will be spraying the entire bus down after morning and afternoon routes. Another time that's very, very important in taking care of the safety of our kids is at arrival and dismissal. So we have some new protocols and procedures in place for the arrival of students and the dismissal of students, and I would like to highlight a couple of those for you. First of all, at arrival, if your child is riding a bus, we're taking care of the symptom check on the bus when the child gets on the bus. But if your child is a car rider or a driver to school, then we'll be doing that symptom check when they arrive at the door or into the school. And such as this example here, Dr. Fanning, we have two students coming in. The first one will do a symptom check, and her check seemed okay, so she's good to go to an area that we have told her. The next student comes in, and this student is being given a mask. That means that she has a fever or a symptom that is indicative of COVID-19. So she will be sent to the nurses station, and we'll be taking care of our protocol there for that student. So that's the first thing you'll notice at arrival that is a little bit different. Another thing that our students will notice is that we will be social distancing throughout the building before and after school. But before school, you know, some schools, a lot of the students end up in the gymnasium together, or in the library, or in the cafeteria, and it becomes a situation where social distancing may be next to impossible. So our administrators at each school will be developing a plan where students will not all congregate in the same place, and they will be spaced out, and the timing will be such that students will be able to social distance a lot better than they have in the past upon arrival. And that could be, again, in the gymnasium, in the cafeteria, or in some schools they may go straight to the classroom earlier than in the past. So that's the things in the morning. We will have hand sanitizing stations. We don't have them yet, they've been ordered, but we'll have hand sanitizing stations at the entrances so kids can take advantage of that. And in the elementary schools and all our K-8s, all the breakfast in the mornings will be breakfast in the classroom. So that's arrival. Now to talk a minute or two about dismissal, a couple of things I want to mention. First of all, it will look different. Dismissal at your school will not be in a manner in which a lot of students will be congregating at one time, whether that's in the past where maybe at a school they may say bus number 18, all students on bus 18 come to the cafeteria now for dismissal. They may say now all upper grade students on bus 18 come, and then later on all lower grade students, something to separate the students for a longer period of time to help keep the spread of the virus down at a lower rate. And limiting all congregations of students after school. You know, at the end of school, students oftentimes get together in groups and groups of friends, and we want to limit that while they're on school campus and get them off campus and back home to safety. So that's the highlights that I wanted to point out with the arrival of school and the dismissal of school. For the parents and students who have chosen the in-school option, want to highlight for a few moments some of the things that you will see in the classroom that may be a little different than you have seen in the past in the classroom. First of all students in our school system will have a device, a Chromebook. So I'm going to make sure that I'm going to give it to one of our students here. And these Chromebooks will be used even with the in-school students at different and various times, because we want all of our students to get used to working in a virtual world and in a digital world. So all of our students will have Chromebooks. All the rooms will be given hand sanitizer for use throughout the day. Teachers will use this to clean high contact areas throughout the classroom, whether that's the desk or any books that may be used in more than one classroom. Those things will be cleaned on a regular basis by our teachers. And as you can see with our students in the classroom, these students are social distanced as best as we can, and that's what we will be doing in all our classrooms. We will be arranging our classrooms so that our students, based on the number of kids in the classroom and based on the size of the classroom, will have social distancing as best that we can. We'll make sure that the teacher's desk and where the teacher is delivering instruction is further away from the students that are in the front. Again, to try to not spread any virus that may be in someone may have and not know. So we'll be social distancing. Another thing we will do is we will try to limit the shared items in a classroom. For example, oftentimes we have had a classroom set of textbooks that's shared between one class to the next class to the next class. Well, we're trying to limit that as best that we can. We won't be sharing our Chromebooks. We won't be sharing textbooks where we don't have to. So we'll limit the shared items. Another thing is when we're dismissing class, when our students are leaving class, between classes and at the end of the school day, we will have extra cleaning going on. And just to demonstrate a little bit of what that cleaning will look like, we have some sprayers that we'll have in the classroom. So as the students leave, either between classes or at the end of the day, we'll have cleaning going on in the classroom that's different than in the past. And this fog sprayer has been purchased that it kills the viruses, it kills the germs. And notice how he's spraying it in an upward motion so that it covers more territory, and it does fall on the desk. We don't have to go behind and wipe this down. This dries fairly quickly. So this is one of our additional things that we'll be doing to keep the classroom safe and to keep your children safe while they're in the classroom or going to a classroom where another child has already been during that morning. Now, a couple of other things I want to mention as students are transitioning classes. We may utilize some of the larger spaces for small classrooms. In other words, if School A has a classroom that's fairly small and compact but has a lot of kids in it for that size, we may move that teacher into the gymnasium or into the library, somewhere we can social distance better than in a compact classroom. That won't happen a lot throughout the district. In particular in our level 1 in the beginning when we start school, and hopefully where we stay throughout the year in level 1. Other things, there will be extra cleaning that will happen in the hallways, in the bathrooms, in all high-touch areas, including the water fountains. And we will ask our kids during transition to stay on certain transition paths, whether that means some hallways are maybe only used to go in one direction, or where kids will stay on one side of the hallway if they're going one direction, on the other side going the other, which is a change in most situations and circumstances in our schools. So I hope you see we're taking a lot of precautions within the classroom to make sure that your child has a safe learning environment so that they can focus on their academic achievement and they can focus on learning while they're in the classroom. One place that students congregate quite often and they actually look forward to is the lunchroom and the lunchtime. It is a time in which students look forward to in the mornings because it's a time for them to socialize as well as to get fed and to enjoy a meal. So I'd like to talk a few moments about some of the changes and precautions that we're going to have in our lunch service in Lincoln County Schools. First of all, we will be encouraging our students to wash their hands, sanitize their hands before and after eating lunch. This will be something that our teachers will be doing, our school nurses, our administration. We will constantly be reminding kids of those good hygiene practices and those good practices of before lunch of washing your hands. Another thing is some schools have a self-service line where kids will actually serve themselves, whether that's the salad bar or some of the other items in the school. We will be eliminating the self-service lines in any of the schools that we have that for the duration of the COVID-19 virus. Third thing is, as kids go through the line and they get to where they pay or they punch their numbers in to pay their bill for their lunch, the cashiers will be wearing face guards, clear face guards. They'll still be able to see the students, still be able to interact with the students, but at the same time there will be a precautionary safety measure to limit the spread of any virus that might be with the kids or with our employees. Another thing is social distancing in the cafeteria. We'll be looking at each school, and each school administration will be looking at their individual schedules and the sizes of the classrooms and the sizes of the cafeterias to see, do they have other options on where kids eat lunch or how they social distance kids during the lunch hour. It could be a situation that a school has a classroom available that some students will be eating there. It could be a situation that the cafeteria is big enough and they can spread out, or they can lengthen the lunch periods or shorten the lunch periods or change the time that certain kids go to lunch. Just different measures that will be taking place at our schools to help our kids social distance and remain safe during the lunch time. A last thing I'd like to mention to you is between lunches, we always clean our cafeteria tables between lunches. Now though, we will be using some additional sanitizer, much like the same things we're using in the classrooms. The fog mist, the different things to clean the tables, sanitize the tables, and eliminate any germs that might be present after one group of kids have come through lunch before the next group of kids actually get to lunch. One question that I get asked a lot is about student activities, particular athletics, band, student organizations, and those things. So I want to take a moment and address those. The TSSAA and the TMSAA, the Board of Control and the Legislative Council of those organizations are working closely with the Governor's Office to try to develop a plan for fall sports. We have in our district a phased-in approach for practices for our teams, but we are adhering to all the TSSAA and the TMSAA guidelines. Those are changing quite frequently, so we will keep you informed on those, but we plan and hope and pray to have athletics throughout the year. Another thing is our band. Our band students, of course, they have band camp in the summer. There's a big group of students who get together quite a bit and practice, much like any of the athletic teams. So the same guidelines that we have in place for the athletic teams will be the same guidelines that will be used for our organizations, such as our bands and other student organizations throughout the county. Another question I get is, are our students going to have special classes in our elementary schools, such as library, music class, PE class? Will there be recess? All of those things are questions that I get asked quite often. So I want to assure you that those classes and those activities will continue to be a part of your child's education, whether you choose for your child to be virtual or whether you choose for your child to be in person in school. I hope our video has been informative for you, and I'd like to have a few closing comments regarding some of the highlights that we had today. And number one, I'd like to say again that disclaimer. this is subject to change. The state, the federal government often recommends changes or sometimes requires changes. So it is a living, breathing document that will change, but we will try to notify you and keep you in the loop the best that we can when those changes occur. Also, the highlights that I've gone over today are all level 1 highlights or highlights of level 1, which means that it is the minimal spread of the virus, and we haven't had to elevate it to what we call level 2 or level 3. So what does level 2 look like? There would be more modifications, some pretty big modifications in the school day, where we would have less than a full number of students on campus every day, some type of an alternate schedule of some kind. That is detailed more in our plan, and I encourage you to go visit the plan on our website and read through those details. Now, if we have to elevate to level 3, that's a situation much like last spring where we had to go full virtual. But I just don't want to make sure everyone knows this is not last spring. Full virtual will include teaching, it will include student assignments, it will include grading, it will include feedback, full expectations and full attendance requirements, although virtual. So, level 2 and level 3 are in more detail on our website at www.lcdoe.org. Click on the link to our reopening plan. Also, you can follow all of our communication modes that we use here in Lincoln County Schools. That would include Twitter, that would include Facebook, our website, our school app. We also communicate with our local newspaper and other means of communication here locally. So I encourage you to reach out to those or follow those and stay abreast of any changes that occur and any updates that might occur regarding our plan. And I'd like to close with just asking everyone to please take precautions, stay healthy, and God bless you.